I'd like to talk to you about your sunshine reports and your paperwork. There's been some discontent going on, and I think it's just a miscommunication myself from what I've seen. But I'm not an expert on these papers, so I would like you to weigh in on it. I think you know what we're talking about. If you'd like me to get specific on it, I will. But if you just want to.
Yeah, this is our first federal race, and we've done a lot of state ones. And so at the state level, they call them sunshine. Maybe it is sunshine. I don't know. It's FEC report, and they're quite regimented. Well, first of all, we've been blessed. We've had a lot of people who stepped forward and helped us this year. We did frankly, I didn't even know about it, but we did an amendment here to one of those reports sometime in the last month or two. I'm not even sure when. But somebody brought that to our attention, and so I've talked to my treasurer about it. And apparently, we had a clerical error. We put some addresses in the wrong spot, and had an in-kind that was reported, an in-kind contribution, which is something that a service or somebody contributed that's not cash that we had reported incorrectly. And it's my understanding that that's much more common than not. And we didn't buy the expensive software package. We loaded it all manually and got a couple of things out of whack. But that's my understanding of how that went down. And so.
Have you ever been given a fine for any of your reporting?
No.
Have you ever been held to any other?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I've been held to any what other?
Have you ever been punished in any way, shape, or form for any of your documents and reporting for any of your races or anything like that?
It's not the FEC report, but this is an interesting one that I gotta look into one time here. It was the U.S. House, not the FEC report. The U.S. House has an ethics committee that requires that when you turn in your FEC report, you don't just turn it into the FEC recipient. You turn it into the U.S. House Ethics Committee. Okay, and we didn't know that. How are we? And nobody notified us of that. So how are you? So anyway, I get this love note from the U.S. House that I owe them $200, and for what? I'm not a House member, okay? I mean, I would think if the U.S. House Ethics Committee wants to send somebody a bill, you need to be a member, right? Well, no, and so no, you're supposed to return that report in to us too, and so. All right, whatever. So I sent him a check from my campaign account. And they sent it back and said, no, you can't use campaign funds. You have to use personal funds. And so I guess technically the answer is yes, not with the FEC, but to the U.S. House, just note to self. The U.S. House their ethics committee can fine a non-member. So who knows? Maybe one of the Congress someday.
That's going to be an interesting experience for you when you go to D.C.
Yeah, there's probably a number of those nice little love notes, but
okay, let's talk about campaign donations. Mm-hmm. Would you say you received the majority of your donations from within the state of Idaho?
Yeah, no, we have. There's the predominant resource base we've got, the people across this state. And I am immensely humbled by that. I do have two groups, however, that are outside the state that have also helped. One is the leadership for the House Freedom Caucus. They know who I am, and they desperately want to try to get more conservative-minded people in office, and so they've helped. And I've got some contributions there, and it's not from Idaho. It's from the likes of other conservative members of Congress who are there now. There's also a group called Club for Growth, which is a conservative group that are funded by conservative business people that they see a disparity in Congress, and they see too many interests that are beholden to special interests and to the lobby corps that has so much influence in DC. And so a few years ago they got together and said, okay, how do we try to offset some of that monetary influence that comes in on behalf of the high flying lobby corps back east? And so they've contributed too, Sherry. So I have two entities where I've got some resources outside the state. I believe it does not exceed a third, but honestly I haven't looked at it specifically. But the majority by far is right here.
Are these documents available on your website?
Yeah, well on the
and on the FEC
it's
website as well.
yeah, it's on the FEC report, but I don't think I posted it on the website. It's but it's all public.
All right, is there a contact form where if somebody wanted to look at these documents from your campaign, they could contact somebody
Sure.
and get them?
Yeah, if somebody wants to see any of that, it is public, but you have to do it through the FEC channel. And so what we would do is just shoot one of us a note at the campaign. We'll send the link to the FEC report, and they can look at whatever they want to look at.
That's probably the easiest way. I know the government websites are not always easy to navigate.
Right. Well, and maybe what we do is give me an idea. Maybe we just put a link on the website. But either way, we'll make it available to whoever wants to see it.
Do you take any donations from groups like Big Pharma, Monsanto, etc., anything like that?
Yeah, I have not, as far as I know, in the congressional race. Again, I need to qualify it enough just to say I haven't looked at every single lineup, but I'm not aware of it. I will say this. Someone had raised the issue about a Monsanto contribution at one point in time, and I was curious when I heard it. So I had my treasurer look into it, and there was a Monsanto contribution in 2013. Which, by the way, is not this race. It was
5 years ago.
It was 5 years ago, and I was in the state senate, and I think I know why. And by the way, it's fair to point out that companies like Monsanto or Micron, for example, rarely is there state legislative issues that come up on the docket at the state level. Most of the time, when there's issues or there's something that impacts them, it's on the federal level or the international level of some sort. And so I don't ever recall something like that was a quid pro quo type scenario. But I did get at least one contribution from Monsanto in 2013. I'm going to guess other legislators did as well. But in that case, my recollection is I'd raised the concern that Idaho was too dependent on outside energy sources, and it's true. If you look into it, well over 80% of the electricity we use in our state comes from other generation facilities in other states, and I just think that we should be more independent on that front. And I want to see more energy production in Idaho for Idaho consumption and even export at some point. But I raised that issue in a relatively vocal fashion, and a couple of allies kind of came forth that I really didn't expect. Monsanto was one of them, and as it turns out, they have a massive power consumption need at a facility in southeast Idaho, where they, frankly, they just agreed with my points, my efforts, and so that might have been the connection. There's no legislation or anything like that, but I'm guessing that might be what it had to do with, but I really don't know.
Well, being as it was 5 years ago, it's hard to keep up, isn't it?
It is. There are things that I forget.